He rose from a forgotten island to command the fate of Europe. He crowned himself emperor, led armies across continents, and changed the world forever. This is the epic story of Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who rewrote history with the stroke of a sword and the brilliance of his mind. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, on the island of Corsica. His family were minor nobility of Italian descent. Though they carried the title of nobility, they lived modestly. As a boy, Napoleon was quiet, intense, and fiercely intelligent. He preferred books to games and spent hours reading about Roman history, Alexander the Great, and military strategy. At age 9, he was sent to mainland France for military school. He spoke French with a thick Corsican accent and faced discrimination, but he focused on his studies. Mathematics, artillery, history, these were his strengths. By age 16, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the French army. He was determined, hungry for purpose, and history was about to give him the opportunity of a lifetime. In 1789, the French Revolution erupted. The monarchy fell, and France descended into chaos. Many lost their heads. Napoleon saw an opening. In 1793, at age 24, he helped capture the port city of Toulon from royalist forces. His innovative artillery tactics won him promotion to brigadier general. Soon, he became a rising star. In 1795, when royalist mobs threatened the government in Paris, Napoleon crushed them with cannon fire, a decisive, brutal move that saved the revolution. In return, he was named commander of the Army of Italy. He was just 26. And soon, he would lead his troops to glory. In 1796, Napoleon led the French army into Italy. His soldiers were hungry, poorly equipped, and demoralized. But Napoleon inspired them with passion and vision. He fought against the Austrian Empire and their allies. Battles like Lodi, Arcole, and Rivoli became legendary. Napoleon moved faster, thought deeper, and struck harder than his enemies. He captured cities, outmaneuvered larger forces, and negotiated peace with Austria on his terms. By the end of the campaign, he was a hero. But Napoleon wanted more than medals. He wanted history. In 1798, Napoleon sailed to Egypt with a secret plan to cut off Britain's trade routes and expand French influence. He brought with him not just soldiers, but scientists and scholars, hoping to bring civilization as well as conquest. He won a major victory at the Battle of the Pyramids, crushing the Mamluk forces with modern tactics. But at sea, disaster struck. Admiral Nelson destroyed the French fleet at the Battle of the Nile, stranding Napoleon and his men. Still, he made the most of his time, founding institutes, studying ruins, and discovering the Rosetta Stone. But trouble brewed back in France. Sensing another opportunity, Napoleon left Egypt and returned home. France was a mess, politically unstable and economically weak. In 1799, Napoleon staged a coup and overthrew the government in a bloodless takeover known as the 18th of Brumaire. He created a new government called the Consulate, and named himself First Consul. It was the beginning of authoritarian rule, cleverly disguised as republican reform. He restored order, balanced finances, and reformed education and law. His most enduring legacy from this period was the Napoleonic Code, a new legal system that influenced laws around the world. In 1804, he took things one step further. In a grand ceremony in Notre Dame Cathedral, Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of the French. He didn't let the Pope do it, because his power came from himself, not from God or tradition. Napoleon's empire soon stretched from Spain to Poland. He placed his siblings on European thrones and redrew the map. Between 1805 and 1807, he scored several of his most famous victories. At Austerlitz, he crushed the combined forces of Austria and Russia. At Jena, he defeated the Prussians. At Friedland, he forced Russia into an uneasy peace. Napoleon modernized governments, abolished feudalism, and spread revolutionary ideals, all while maintaining personal control. He was both a liberator and a dictator. Admired by many, feared by more. But even Napoleon had limits. And his overreach would soon begin to crack the empire. In 1808, Napoleon invaded Spain and placed his brother Joseph on the throne. but the Spanish people refused to be ruled by outsiders. What followed was a brutal guerrilla war, ambushes, assassinations, and constant bloodshed. British forces under Duke Wellington joined the fight, making the Peninsular War a bleeding wound that drained Napoleon's resources. It was a warning sign. But Napoleon refused to slow down. In 1812, Napoleon made his greatest mistake, invading Russia. With over 600,000 men, he marched into the Russian heartland. But the Russians did not fight, they retreated, burning everything behind them. When Napoleon reached Moscow, it was empty and on fire. With winter coming, Napoleon ordered a retreat. It became a nightmare. Starvation, snow, and constant attacks destroyed his army. Fewer than 100,000 soldiers made it back alive. Europe had seen Napoleon bleed. And now, they wanted him gone. In 1813, at the Battle of Leipzig, Napoleon was defeated by a coalition of Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia. By 1814, they entered Paris. His marshals urged him to abdicate. He did, and was exiled to Elba, a small island in the Mediterranean. He was allowed to keep a title and some guards, but his empire was gone. Yet Napoleon was not done. In March 1815, Napoleon escaped Elba and landed in France. Soldiers sent to arrest him instead joined him. Crowds cheered. The king fled. Napoleon returned to power for one last campaign. Europe responded. Armies converged. On June 18, 1815, near the village of Waterloo, Napoleon fought his final battle. He was defeated by the British under Wellington and the Prussians under Blucher. It was the end. After Waterloo, Napoleon was exiled again, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. There would be no escape. He lived under British guard, writing memoirs and reflecting on his life. He remained defiant, blaming others for his fall, claiming he fought for liberty while the monarchies crushed it. On May 5, 1821, Napoleon died at age 51. The cause? Likely stomach cancer, though rumors of poisoning still linger. His remains were returned to France in 1840. Today, he lies in a grand tomb in Paris, as both a national hero and a symbol of ambition's dangerous heights. Napoleon Bonaparte once said, "Impossible is a word to be found only in the dictionary of fools." His life was a paradox. A soldier who became a king, a liberator who became a tyrant, a man who changed the world, and paid the price. But what do you think? Was Napoleon a visionary leader? Or a power-hungry conqueror? Was he the child of revolution, or the enemy of it? Let us know in the comments below. What would you have done in his place? If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more historical biographies, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring the stories that shaped our world.